Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry with Alleged Actually, and I'm back. It's Monday, so you know what that means. Today we're going to recap not only Summer House Martha's Vineyard, but we're going to also add to the lineup The Real Housewives of New Jersey, which premiered last night. Pretty good episode, we're going to get into that. But before we do, I just ask that if you guys would just do me a huge favor. If you like reality TV content as well as pop culture, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because that's what we do over here. And if you like what I got going on, please hit the like button and then share it with your family and friends. Also, so that you can get this content first, hit the notification bell so that whether I'm dropping a video or we're going live, you'll be the first to know. So guys, before we get into it, I just want to say this weekend I was really excited. We did a live on Saturday. We had some guest co-hosts, the fellas over at Goatcast Podcast, CW and Big Nige. Was really happy with the way it turned out. We did a piece on Brittany Griner's interview with Robin Roberts. We did recap that. And then we went into a discussion on the WNBA. If you guys like that sort of thing, if you want to hear some great perspectives on the future of the WNBA, the buzz behind it, the new era, go check that video out. The replay is still out there. It's still getting love. So please check that out. And if you like basketball, please, you're going to do yourself a favor by checking out the guys over at Goatcast Podcast. They have their channel here on YouTube. They are amazing at commentary on all things NBA and WNBA. So shout out to CW and Big Nige. Thank you guys again for coming on Saturday and blessing us with your basketball savvy. Now, guys, we're going to get into what I know best, and that's reality TV shows. Last night, The Real Housewives of New Jersey. So we have been waiting. All kinds of things have been out there about how the cast has not been getting along. Some things that transpired right before the reunion in New York between Louis and, well, Frank Sr. had let it slip that everyone had got together to kind of contemplate how they were going to take down Louis and Teresa. Lots of bad blood. I'm going to get into it. Well, I guess I'll hold my opinions until after we recap the show. I think that would be better suited. So we open up with Dolores sitting at this big table. It's at RHOJ Steakhouse. And she's at this huge table sitting there by herself. And then we start seeing all these flashbacks. The ladies are arguing. Everybody's kind of going at it. And basically, there's one scene to me that kind of stuck out where there's someone questioned Jennifer Aiden on how she thinks Teresa's going to feel about her now being friends with Melissa. Child, we know. If there's one thing that you can take to the bank is that Teresa does not mess with Melissa. Looks like there is no chance of reconciliation there, which I think is a shame. And we'll get into that too. But the producer asked Dolores, well, prior to that, the producer asked her, how did things go so bad? And she said she just doesn't know. Because, I mean, there's like broken glasses on the floor. I mean, you could tell, honey, things got heated at this table. The producers then asked her in one word to describe the sit down. And she said, horrible. Apparently, that opening scene is foreshadowing of the finale. So that's what we have to look forward to, guys. Everything that we watch is going to build up to that. And so, kind of sets the tone for this season. So, we open up. There's Melissa and Antonia. Melissa's helping Antonia prep to get ready to pack to go off to college. Y'all, these kids have grown up right before our eyes. Antonia is about to go off to college, and she's going to the University of Delaware. Then the next scene is Marge. Honey, she's struggling with her bed, trying to get this duvet to do right. I don't know if y'all have a duvet. Duvets are thin, and you got to get them just right. So just little scenes to say hi, you know, bringing the cast in. Quick intros is all that's about. Then we go over to the Fudas, to Rachel and John Fuda, and they're getting ready for a cookout. Rachel said there's been so much going on, and she basically says Jaden is like a mini man, and that's actually John's son that Rachel adopted. So I thought last season when that came out, that was really admirable. Quick aside, I met the Fudas when I was out at BravoCon. Honestly, and I know everybody's going to have their opinions, they were both extremely nice. John was so cool. And let me just tell y'all, that man smelled so good. And he was thin and svelte. And child, let me just say something about New Jersey. That Ozempic is Ozempic-ing. Those ladies are real thin. Real thin. Yeah. And apparently some of the guys, because John, I mean, he slimmed down. He looks, I mean, he does. He looks good. Like at first when they came out, only because I recognized Rachel. It took me a minute to recognize John. But y'all see him. He's looks good. But anyway, she says that Jaden is like a mini man. Gigi's 3 and Juliana's growing just as fast as they do. And then her family comes through. Apparently they used to be like right up the street from them, and now they've moved about an hour and a half away. Family time is important time. I feel the same way. Her mom's there, sister-in-law, her grandma, who is a cute character. Her Nona is 88 years old, but she says she's actually like a 25-year-old. And so, at any rate, family comes in and they're getting ready to do a cookout. And they teach Gigi a word. I think it was patash. I don't remember. But there's a flashback of her saying, "You're such a chooch." I'm sorry, a chooch. Which I did my research, honey. That translates into Italian as a stupid person or a meathead. Then she talks about her baby, Juliana. Apparently, her baby is tongue-tied. And if you guys don't know what that means, it actually is where there's like a piece of, I don't even know if you want to say skin, but that your tongue is still attached to the bottom of your mouth, like right behind your bottom teeth. I actually have the same. I never needed surgery, but apparently hers is worse. I have been asked that I want it corrected. It has never caused me any issues, so I never saw a reason to do it. But for this baby, if it's affecting her speech or whatever, child, they're getting ready to take care of it. So then Rachel gets into the meat of this true premise for this episode, if you will. So she mentions to her family and her husband that Jeff Fessler, which is Jennifer Fessler's husband, has reached out to her and asked her to help him plan Jennifer's birthday party. And she says, sure, let's do it. And one of the things is, I guess Jen is also like Switzerland. She gets along with everybody. So they want everybody invited. And that, of course, means we're going to include Teresa and Jennifer Aiden. And so she lets them know that the invitation was extended. They ask, well, did they respond? And she said Teresa actually did. She responded and she accepted the invitation. And she said that she hadn't heard from Jennifer Aiden yet. But Jennifer was currently at that point out of the country. And so then Rachel asked her husband, John, what was he going to do if Louis comes up to him at the party? And he said he's going to do what he would do to anyone that would come up to him in Home Depot. He's just going to give him the head nod. Child, there's bad blood between the Fudas and Louis. And if you watch the reunion, you would see why. Apparently, Louis had the majority of the cast investigated. It was crazy. If you haven't, go back and watch it. It would make you understand why there's currently so much bad blood. Because there is. It's almost like this dark cloud. Y'all, I'm going to get to it. Let me get through the recap and we're going to chop it up because honestly, I'm worried about Real Housewives of New Jersey and I'm going to tell you why. So the next scene is Melissa. They show the home. If you know, Joe had been building their dream home. It's finished. They're in it. And it is beautiful, y'all. It really is. It's a beautiful home. And she says that they're finally in their new home. Melissa's put her stamp on everything in it. And she said that she really felt like she was in her element. She looks really happy. And she's helping Antonia now actually pack for college. And like I mentioned, she's going to the University of Delaware. And so she was saying, much like I've said with my own kids, that there was so much that she does for her daughter, maybe that her daughter doesn't even realize. And she was like, you know, she's in for a rude awakening, but that she thinks it's going to be good for her. And it will. And it will. Kids need to realize, like myself, you know, even when I went off to school, it's a big difference when you don't have mom do your laundry for you, to make sure you're up on time, to make sure you have everything you need. So, honey, when the kids go off, not only are they getting an education as far as book sense, they're getting a life education as well. So then we go over to Teresa and Gabriella, who is also packing for college. Okay, y'all. I wasn't going to say this, but I'm just going to say whatever. You know, like, I watched the show. These are my opinions, but did y'all feel like it was a little bit of shade? Here's Antonia laying on the bed with her dog Nico, like kind of unorganized, not ready. And then you go to the scene with Teresa and Gabriella. Gabriella has all her boxes. You know, she's by herself, taping them up, getting it together. Was that a producer edit? Making Gabriella look like she was a little bit more together than Antonia. I don't know. At any rate, honey, she's packing for college also, and she's going to the University of Michigan. Also, I felt shady. Teresa said that, you know, this was great. This was the one school that Gabriella really wanted to get into. Her first choice that she got in. Don't know, again, whether Antonia missed out on the opportunity to go somewhere, but I still felt like the way she said it was kind of a jab at Melissa and Antonia. I hope not, because that's still your niece, Teresa. Ciao. Anyway, she mentions that Gabriella was the one child, because when she went away, which is when she went to prison, she'd ask all of her daughters to email her every day. And she stated that Gabriella was the only one that faithfully emailed her every day. So she was real emotional. She said she didn't really cry when Gia went, but Gia went to school like literally 45 minutes away. Gabriella's going to be a good distance being in Michigan. So that's understandable. Been there. It's tough. And so then we go back over to Melissa and Antonia. The boys are in the scene and Joe Gorga. And she's asking Antonia how many girls will she be sharing the bathroom shower with. And she said, literally my whole floor. Child, I felt that. The only dorm I stayed in at North Carolina A&T, Holland Hall. Again, every chance I get, y'all, I'm shouting out my Aggies, Aggie Pride. Holland Hall. But same, we had 2 bathrooms on either end of the hall. And so all the girls on the 3rd floor, which is where I was, we shared those 2 bathrooms. There was multiple showers, but there was a few. I think in one, there was like 3 or 4, and the other same. Honey, I'm getting to semantics, but bottom line is they made sure to give Antonia shower shoes. That's a must. I felt that. Baby, wear your shower shoes, okay? You don't want to get foot fungus. Wear your shower shoes. To all you guys that are prepping for the fall, take your shower shoes. So anyway, and then Melissa's like, you know, Joe, we're going to have to move her. And he's like, you know, this is not my first rodeo. And then there's a flashback where he helped Gia move when she went to school. That kind of got me in the feels, y'all, because again, one thing I can't stand that I really feel bad about is watching the fact that Teresa and Joe Gorga do not have a relationship anymore. I mean, their parents have passed away, and literally that's each other as their only sibling. The fact that they don't speak, and not only that they don't speak, that they seem to have so much vitriol, so much disdain for each other. It is really sad to watch. It is sad. The fact that he had moved, they flashed back and saw him moving Gia. The relationship too with Gia and Joe Gorga, her Zir Joe, that's broken out. It just, I hate to see family break up. Family is important to me. And we do go through our things. I'm not going to say that mine is perfect. We've gone through our things, but we always find our way back together because family is important. So I really hate seeing this, but it is what it is. Then we go over to Teresa, and she has received her wedding album in the mail. She's at the table with her girls and Louie's boys, their blended family, and she breaks it out. They look at some of the pictures, and you see the infamous Teresa wedding hair. Child, that hair was doing something. It was hairing. That big hair, that's Jersey for you, though. She had the big updo in the front with the back down. I mean, she looked beautiful, don't get me wrong, but honey, not everybody can pull that off. Teresa did. Very Jersey girl of her, but it looked great. She looked beautiful. And so Teresa, while she's looking at the photos and reflecting on how happy she is, she does let us in on the fact that for a while she was mad at God. She had gone to prison, and then she lost her mother, and then she lost her dad. And she said she'd just really gone through a lot, but she felt like now she had her answer. Kind of like you wonder why you go through so many trials and tribulations, and then you look up and God shows you that, he really can give you beauty for your ashes. So she's got her happy ending. She's happy. We're happy for her if she's truly happy. More to follow there. So now we go back over to Melissa, and she's talking about the birthday party, and she's telling Joe about it, that Rachel and Jeff Fessler are throwing it for Jen together. Then the producer asks her if she has anything to say about Teresa, and she says she doesn't want to answer any questions about Teresa. And then they talk about what they're getting for Jen's birthday. Now, let me backtrack. The producers are really being shady. There's another point. They come to Melissa and ask her questions. Now, don't get me wrong. We all would like to see them come back together, but for them to keep pushing Melissa to say, well, what do you have to say? Because you certainly don't see them do that to Teresa. But I digress. We'll talk a little bit more. So she talks to Joe about what she was going to get Jen for her birthday. And Joe, he suggests getting an autographed picture of James Gandolfini. And for those of y'all that do not know who James Gandolfini is, child, only the star of one of my favorite shows ever, The Sopranos. Child, listen. Tony Soprano, listen. Really, one of my favorites. But they say that because Jennifer Fessler admitted on last season that she actually had a sexual relationship with James Gandolfini, honey. Who knew? Who knew? But, Melissa says that, nah, we can't do that. Her husband, that would be inappropriate. And Joe's like, nah, basically she talked about it and he was laughing like he's good with it. But anywho, now I agree. Probably not the most appropriate thing, honey. Let James rest in peace, honey. And I'm sure you're not his only sexcapade, boo. But, interesting fact, who knew, right? So then we go over to Jen Fessler. She's obviously learning how to play the guitar, and she is playing the guitar and trying to sing Amazing Grace. That was very wholesome. Her husband and daughter tell her how bad it is. And then Margaret comes over, and she brings Jen a gift. And Jen Fessler is turning 55. And let me just say, guys, Jen looks great. She's another one that has been a participant in the Ozempic train. Jen is very slim, but Jen looks good. She does. Honey, she opens the present and Margaret or Marge has given her a vibrator. That's very on brand for Marge. Then they go by the pool to hang out. And Jen tells Marge that she's gotten too much on her plate right now. And that her stepson Brett is getting married. The deal is her ex-husband Jan is now deceased. He's passed away. And she's having feelings of grief and probably of regret. But the fact that he's not going to be present at his son's wedding. And she's just really, she's really deep in the throes of grief. And not really wanting to get too deep into it, she asks, can she change the subject with Jen? And so they do. And then she changes the subject to Jen's birthday. Now, what I don't think was stated in the beginning is that this is actually a surprise party for Jen. So Margaret does, her part in letting Jen know, hey, I think it'd be great if we go out to dinner. And so that is going to be the cover story, if you will, where they get Jen out to get her to the surprise party. And so then Jen says that they talk about Teresa. Somehow Teresa comes up and she says, well, Teresa's always been lovely to me. And Marge is like, no. And so basically it comes out that Jen offers to talk to Teresa for Margaret, but Marge wants no parts of it. Jen basically says, well, I won't bring Teresa up again. And there seems to be more of a loyalty that Jen has to Margaret versus Teresa. I don't think she's made the stance that she'll no longer be friends with Teresa, but I guess that she's not going to try to be the peacemaker between them. She'll respect Margaret's boundaries with Teresa, honey. Then we go over Dolores and Paul, and Teresa and Louie, and they are having dinner together at a restaurant. And Dolores lets them know because they're ordering. Teresa and Louie order the eggplant parmesan, and Dolores has to order a filet. And she lets them know that Paul gets very sick when he eats Italian food. And that's a dilemma because Dolores cooks mainly Italian food. And she even let the story in on that her brother, when they started dating, made him meatballs and he got violently ill, child. Was in the bed sick. I don't know if that's an omen, but so anyway, Teresa makes the observation that they were two girls from Patterson that were with two guys that were not Italian yet had Italian names. Cute, huh? That's Louie and Paulie. Yeah, that's cute. Because Paul is Irish and Louie is Hispanic. I'm not going to misquote particularly what, but he's Hispanic. So now we get into where it comes up about whether Dolores and Paul are going to get married. And because Louie talks about how blessed him and Paul are to have Teresa and Dolores. I concur, particularly Paul with Dolores. She's a good one, y'all. Child. So Louie's like, well, when are you going to marry her? And he was like, well, I'd have to get divorced first. Child, what? Now, maybe I missed it last season, but I don't remember knowing that Paul was still married and not divorced. And this makes me sad for Dolores because we know she was in that long-term relationship with the doctor, child. And they built the house together, and Frank and him were besties, and it never happened. I know Paul is a different guy, and he's really shows Dolores the attention and the time and the things that she wants, but I think ultimately Dolores wants to get married. I do. And I don't like that for her, y'all. Y'all put it in the comments. What do you think? Dolores is gorgeous. She deserves a man that is on the same page as her. Paul says that, that he wants to give her the engagement she deserves. But it comes out that him and this woman have been separated for 10 years. So what are you waiting on, sir? Child, that's a red flag if I ever seen one. What y'all think? Put it in the comments, honey. Let's talk about it, because I don't want to see her waste precious years of her life again. Dolores is 53 years old. So, Paul, come on now. Get that divorce going. Something's amiss here. Something is amiss. I don't like that. But anyway. So, Teresa lets them know that Frank Sr. had reached out to Louis and let Louis know, just like I said in the beginning, that the group had met at Marge's house before the reunion in New York, and they had come together to try to band together on ways to take Louis and Teresa down. And quite frankly, Paul had heard that as well and actually could back that up. So that sucks. So now we are on to the scene where we get to see Teresa and Jennifer Aiden, honey. They are in the car together. They are exchanging compliments. Honey, you look great. You look great. And they're on their way to Jennifer Pessler's surprise birthday party. So they're together because Bill Aiden, her husband, is in surgery. He's a plastic surgeon. And Louis has a meeting. So Louis will not be accompanying Teresa either at this party. And then we see the venue of the party, and Melissa and Joe are entering. And then you see Rachel Fuda's there. Marge Sr. comes in. Her husband, Joe. Marge's husband, Joe. Jackie and Evan come in. Then Danielle and Nate Cabral come in. And then Rachel kind of reflects on her and Danielle's relationship. And Danielle and her, really, they look at it, and I agree. The two of them you think would have been close. They both have the smaller children. They're probably of similar age. And Danielle Rachel makes the comment that Danielle's the like that kind of girl that's in your face, rah, rah, rah. And Danielle makes the comment that Rachel is an ice queen, and she wishes she could be more like that. Shade. But those two, I feel like their relationship got off to the wrong start because of them allowing others to get in their ear. And that happened, y'all. So we'll watch how they maybe find themselves back to each other or not. We don't know. And so in the car, honey, we're back with Jen and Teresa. And Jennifer says that she's heard some freaky stuff come out about John Fuda. And they're talking about his like of double dildos and the fact that he was a big time drug dealer. And it comes out that they got this info from John Fuda's ex. Listen, y'all. Now, we know that Teresa, and particularly in my opinion, Jen Aiden, are messy. It has come out that they have reached out to bloggers, that they have dug some dirt or tried to dig up dirt, to bring on this season. So I don't know, I just know that this season is coming out. It's starting off nasty, and it looks like it's going to end pretty nasty. But yeah, some fellow vloggers have put it out there that Teresa and Jen, like I said, particularly Jen, doing Teresa's dirty work, no doubt. And don't get me wrong, y'all, because I'm a Teresa fan, but I'm going to call it like it is, child. I'm just going to call it like it is. Teresa, if you cross her, honey, she's coming for you. So it looks like they tried to do their dirty work, probably reached out to John Fuda's ex, who is their son, or his son and the adopted son of Rachel's mother, Jaden's mom. So, and then Dolores and Polly walk in. So Melissa comes up to Dolores and grabs her butt, child, because Dolores too is on that Ozempic train. She said she grabbed it to see if it was still there. Listen, Dolores' butt was budding. Dolores looks good, child. And like I said, I found out Dolores was 53 years old. Listen, she is absolutely stunning. She looks good. She does. She really does, child. She got that dark tan, so I don't know the melanin. It's melanin, child. They call her the Black Dolores. She's Italian, but listen, you know, we all have a little something all mixed up in us, so child, who knows? But let me just say this. Dolores, you look good. You look good. So anyway, while Melissa's talking to her, it comes up. She asks how Frank Sr. is doing because, you know, Frank Sr. is Dolores' ex and they're very close. And she says he's doing great. He's actually not at the event, which is different because normally Frank is around, but he's not there. And she said that he's moved in with his girlfriend, and Melissa asked if they're getting married. And she says that they're definitely talking about it. So looks like it's going in that direction. Spoiler alert, they do get married. They're married now. So Frank Sr. finally put a ring on the girlfriend and let go of the dream of him and Dolores getting back together. So there's that. And then Melissa was saying, you know, Dolores, you deserve the same. And she says, yeah, you know, she does. And then she goes to a confessional screen and she says, you know, she literally gets asked every day, at least once a day, on whether or not her and Paul are getting married, or not even whether or not, when they are. And she says that, you know, when she found out that Paul was still married, that she was on the assumption, as would I be, or any of us, right, that he was currently in the midst of a divorce or about to file it. But to find out that the two had been separated for 10 years, her exact words were, y'all, it's time. And she's right, it's time. Honey, why? You know, why 10 years go past and you never file? And some people don't because there's never been a significant other that made them want to change their situation. I would think that Dolores is that for him. And so I hope that he will go ahead and make an honest woman of Dolores. We'll see. Because one thing about Real Housewives of New Jersey, on this Real Housewives franchise, they are wives. They have husbands, and their husbands are an integral part of the show. And family is a big part of the show. So the fact that Dolores is one of the few on the show that does not have a husband, not saying that husbands are end all to be all, y'all, so don't come for me there. Just saying that I get the sense, and if you really watch and pay attention to how she's speaking of it, that Dolores wants to be married. And she said so when she's been on Andy's Watch What Happens Live. So, I mean, that's not new. So, there's that. And so, my hope is that Paul does the right thing, honey. But we got to tune in to see. So, now, Teresa and Jen Aiden are at the party. And they come in and they speak to Marge and Jackie. But Marge just kind of, Jackie speaks. Marge just kind of says a dry hey and walks on off. And she goes on over to Melissa and Joe and proudly tells Melissa, yeah, Teresa came in and she said, hey to me, but I just kind of walked off. Let me just say something, y'all. I don't know that I ever loved Marge, but this season starting off, she is really getting on my nerves. I'm not a fan. It's only episode 1, but Marge, even last season, just nasty. She's just on my nerves. I mean, it's just giving, are we in middle school? Y'all are grown. And I know that there was some stuff with Louis and the things that happened at the reunion. And the fact that she said that he had also investigated her child or done something with her child. And I get it. Believe me, I do. It's just, good Lord, you can't say hi. It's giving me too much, child. At this point, the producer asked Melissa in another confessional how she feels being there with Teresa. And Melissa says she feels nothing. Okay, producers. Looks like Melissa's not going to crack. Granted, this is the first episode, but y'all might want to lay off a little bit. I mean, right now she's trying to give you nothing on Teresa. So I don't know how many times you want to ask it. Do you want to ask it in different languages? What are we doing here? She says she just don't care. She can give you none. She don't want nothing to do with her. She don't care. Okay? All right. Are we clear? Moving on. So Rachel gets the word that Jen and Jeff Fessler are about to approach. So she lets everybody know, let's get together. Jen is coming. They walk in. Everyone yells surprise. And Jen is genuinely surprised. So that was pretty cool. She said that she believed that it was going to be more than just a couple of couples meeting for dinner, but she had no idea that it was going to be to this magnitude. So at that point, everybody seems to be having a good time. Rachel says hi to Jackie, because Rachel and Danielle go by and speak to Jackie, whatever. And Jackie says hi, and she's like, that was weird. Again, y'all, the whole, can't y'all just say hello to each other? I mean, really? All right, so then the guys are getting together. Everyone's together. Louis, of course, is not there. The guys get together, and it's always a good time for them, right? And that's just kind of how guys are, right? I mean, just like on Married to Medicine, the women could be fighting all day long, but you get the husbands together and they love each other. That's how men are. They just don't have the drama we do, or they don't carry it. That's how men are. So the guys, they always have a good time together. Until Paulie asked John Fuda, why did he want to talk to Louis at the party? So if I didn't mention it, John had reached out to Louis and said, look, let's talk. When you come here, let's talk. And Paul doesn't think that's appropriate. And Louis said he didn't think it was appropriate because just wasn't the time, because John would have all of his minions there. Those were Louis's words. And so he was like, I would think you would want to pull him aside and maybe meet at a coffee shop. And John is like, you know what? After him investigating me and all the stuff he did, I wouldn't show him the respect of making, I guess, a concerted effort to plan a separate aside event to talk to him. I get both sides, okay? I do. And so at this point, Paul is still trying to explain, and John's like, sounds like you're on his side. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm not on either side. I'm really in the middle. It starts to get heated. Dolores picks up, child, because honey, when you know your man, you know that look. Dolores said her daddy taught her to always know what the exits are. That's good. I believe in that, y'all. Always know where your exits are. And she could pick up when her man was just about to snap. So she goes over there. And she basically intervenes and she pulls him away. And so then basically we see Teresa and Rachel get into it. She says, look, I think our husbands need to have a conversation. Why would your husband want to reach out to my husband to have a talk here at this party? And she's like, Teresa's like, he should be a gentleman. And she was like, and Rachel was like, don't even bring up the word gentleman. She's like, my husband is a gentleman. And child, they go back and forth. And basically it comes out again that, or basically it comes out that the two of them are at odds because their husbands are at odds, and that she says that he needs to have some respect. Comes out that, well, speaking of respect, that your husband, John, told Louis that he had the utmost respect for me because just like him, I was in prison and I came out on top. And it comes out that she says that she heard from the ex that he was the biggest drug dealer. And then she goes and gets John Fuda and asks her to say it again. Child, it's up from there. So that's kind of how the season ended. Or not the season, y'all, the episode 1. That's how that ended. Listen, it's giving toxic. It's giving the season's going to be another toxic one. I don't even know how much more negativity I can take. Vanderpump Rules, that whole season has been a bust because of the animosity, the group splitting. We had Real Housewives of Potomac. Same thing, you had Giselle and you had my girl Candace that would not speak to each other in filming. Wendy, she wasn't giving much to other. I mean, it does not make for a good season. And that's why I said I am worried about New Jersey. Because I am, y'all. I mean, it's a very divided cast. We'll see. I mean, there are some storylines and we're going to follow it. I'm going to keep bringing it to you. I'm definitely going to recap it. I'm invested. It's just for the future of it. And just a little tidbit. I saw an interview Dolores did saying that this was her last season. After the way things went down at the sit down, she has no plans of returning. Child, more to follow on that. But now I want to get into Summer House Martha's Vineyard. That was a good episode too. When we left last week, Summer was a hot mess. She had drank too much at the Freaknik party and had really gotten into, let's just say, unresolved feelings. She really had been pushing her feelings down and not dealing with them. And they just came out in a very unhealthy way. So when the episode opens, Noelle and Summer are in a room. And Noelle keeps trying to get to the bottom of what her issues are. Because she just feels like it's something deeper that Summer's not telling her. And Summer basically is saying, first of all, that she's a little just too drunk. Because right now it's like 2:13 in the morning when we pan back to them. And she's like, I'm just not right. I've had too much to drink. But she does admit that she's tired of Bria making her look crazy over and over. And basically, she kind of puts a pin there with Noelle and says, look, I'm going to bed, which is probably the best place. Not even probably, it is the best place for her. So then you see Jordan and Jasmine. They come to Summer's aid and they talk about, what went on or whatever. And like I said, the drinks have been flowing. So at least Summer has a light moment. She kind of laughs because she's like digging Jordan's wig and Jordan's looking good. So, everybody goes to bed. And then they wake up and you see Amir and Natalie. Amir's trying to give her little kisses to wake her up. Child, I'm still on the fence about Natalie. I know I talked last week about how I wasn't feeling her as a girlfriend, and I'm still not. And let me say something real quick before I finish this recap and get into my thoughts of Summer House. I have a lot of these names are family members of mine. So it was really funny when I did my short last week. I have a son named Amir. I have a daughter named Bria. I have a nephew, God rest his soul, named Jordan. I have a niece named Summer. I have a nephew named Silas. And so there's like, when I'm talking about it, if you don't know in the context of which I'm talking, family, this is about the show. I'm not talking about any of us, okay? This is about Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. Are we clear? Okay. Yeah. Because my daughter was like, are you being shady, Mom? No, I'm not talking about my son, Amir. Amir on the show. Okay, we're clear now. So anyway, like I said, I'm still not feeling Natalie. Okay? So Nick is getting ready for a race. Apparently, Nick is really into 5Ks, into running, which I think is great. He said he still doesn't know what everybody was arguing about last night. And he said, honey, for all he knew, it could have been about him. Flashing back to his little tatted self and the Freaknik look. I told y'all Nick was giving. Nikki B was giving, right? Little humor. But no, Nick, they weren't arguing about you. And so he lets us know that he loves running. And this is his 10th race. So that's his thing. And good on him. So then Amir, he asked Natalie if she had fun. And she said, yeah, but she really didn't like the drama of it all. She said it just wasn't her vibe. And she said it wasn't that the girls weren't her vibe. She said it just was that their behavior was not her vibe. Okay, Natalie. I mean, look, she's right. The girls cut up, particularly Summer. Summer cut way up. Bria, Bria don't take much to amp her up either. So there you go. So now we see a very regretful Summer. Summer regrets last night. Her drunkenness, and her rage, and she decides she's going to have a conversation with those that she may have hurt, or, you know, she's going to have those important conversations that she needs to have. And then they pan to a scene where it's Preston's partner, Donald, Amir, and Natalie are all in the kitchen. And then we go over to Nick, and Nick is running. And then we flash back to the kitchen where there's a scene with Noelle and Alex, and they're eating breakfast. And Alex is pretty much asking what they did last night. And Noelle tells Alex, with Preston listening on, about how Summer got really drunk and that, you know, how things took a very hard left. And Preston makes the comment that he's really tired of people using alcohol as an excuse. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Because, you know, we go back to last episode where Phil had approached the guys and tried to apologize for his behavior on last season. And, you know, he's blamed it on the alcohol. And now, you know, here we have Summer's bad behavior. And she's also blaming it on having too much to drink. So I get that. So then we go over to Bria talking to Natalie about what happened. And, you know, she's giving Natalie deets about how Summer, you know, got drunk and, you know, the things that she was saying about the fact that part of her problem was that her relationship with Jordan and Preston were heavy. It was hard sometimes to be friends with them, and that she was jealous of the lighthearted friendship that Bria, Shanice, and Noelle have. And then they're also still Noelle and Alex and Preston talking, and you see Summer kind of stick her head downstairs, you know, saying she's being nosy. Child, that was a moment. We were like, what did you hear, Summer? What did you hear? But anyway, it goes back over to Nick, and he's finished his race, and he actually finished in 5th place, which is a very important thing. It denotes his fraternity brother that he calls Biv has passed away, and they get into Black Greeks or Black fraternities and sororities a little later in the show. But and being an HBCU attendant, I certainly understand. What I loved about this episode is they took time to explain it for those of you that don't. You know, and I think that Martha's Vineyard does an amazing job of showing these educated, beautiful Black young people that have had this great experience with HBCUs, Black sororities and fraternities, the camaraderie, the love. Martha's Vineyard itself, they do that right. And that's where I talked about we missed our opportunity on Real Housewives of Potomac, where we could have had a chance to understand Nigerian culture instead of using it or weaponizing it for a storyline. We would have been better served there. They would have been better served. Martha Vineyard does it right, where they explain, you know, their experience, what it is, what it means, you know, and I think that's great. But back to Nick and his fraternity brother, Biv. His number was number 5, which means that was his number when he and Nick crossed over together when they became members of Kappa Alpha Psi together. And so him finishing in 5th place for his fraternity brother, who was the number 5, was very significant and meant a lot to him. And so we go back over to the house, and Summer has now pulled Noelle to the side to talk. And Noelle says that she feels like Summer doesn't like her. Y'all, was it just me? Or did you think that Summer didn't answer that quite right? I think Noelle's feelings are not far-fetched at all. Not at all. Because Summer pretty much responds, it's not that I like you or I don't. You know, I love you. But she said the anger and what was happening last night was really directed at Bria, that she kind of just got the brunt of what she was feeling for Bria. And Noelle asked Summer if she remembers pushing her, and Summer says no. Sis. And she said, you know, again, unfortunately, she was mad at Bria and that Noelle was the one that was on the receiving end. And she promised Noelle that, you know, never again would she ever put her hands on her. And Noelle told her that she felt like it was something deeper. And then she went on to say that, you know, the alcohol is an excuse, but it was only part of it. And Noelle says that she's always felt like a drunk tongue speaks a sober heart. I really feel for Noelle because she really valued her friendship with Summer, but Summer is showing her in more than one way that perhaps the friendship is not reciprocated. They even flash back to the scene in the pool when she says, okay, I admit I should have told you that Alex has been inside of me and I made him, you know, so many times. Y'all, it's giving that Summer certainly has something against Noelle for Noelle even trying to pursue Alex. I hope it's not. I know she's got other things she's going through, but it does seem like there is some aggression towards Noelle, maybe some jealousy. Y'all, I hate that. And Noelle senses it. I don't think she's wrong. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments, because what was sad was you could tell Noelle was really hurt. And Summer really just seemed to be like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. I had too much to drink. You know, it wasn't meant for you. Doesn't matter whether I like you or not. I love you, but yeah, I don't know. It just, I don't think that talk went the way that I thought it would have gone. I'm not saying there wasn't remorse, because she said, I admit that when I'm hurt, I hurt others. But it just didn't seem like personally that she was going out of her way to make sure Noelle felt that she was truly sorry. That's what I deducted. If I'm wrong, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Like I said, put it in the comments. And so, you know, Noelle basically tells her, I'm going to dead it for now. But she admits to her that, you know, she's going to back up. And she lets us know in confessional that she's pretty much done. It'll never be the same. That she'll forgive her, but it's not going to be where it used to be. You know, she's entitled to feel like she told her, I forgive, you know, but she's going to validate her feelings the way that she feels. Sometimes, you know, when somebody, again, not sometimes, all the time, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And it wasn't just that drunken incident from last episode, but there's been even the way that she aggressively acted about the fact that, you know, they're saying, don't you think you should have had a talk with Noelle regarding what really happened with Alex? The way that she came out instead of, all of it to me signifies it's something else. I agree with Noelle. It's something deeper. And that deeper thing to me is jealousy. You heard it here first. Child, if you don't agree, like I said, let's talk about it. Please put it in the comments. But anyway, and so now we go over to Natalie. Oh, I'm sorry. We go over to Natalie. I'm sorry, y'all. I got notes. I was watching 2 shows last night, y'all. I'm trying to keep it all together so I can give y'all this good content. Lord have mercy. I mean, notes everywhere. I was just last night. But yeah, so we go over to Natalie. Natalie is talking to Donald and to Jordan, and she's basically telling them what Bria told her about Summer feeling like this house is very cliquey, how it's hard to be friends with Jordan and Preston, and that it's heavy sometimes, and how she was jealous of the lighthearted friendship that Bria, Noelle, and Shanice have. So now at this point, Nick is back from the race, and you see Amir and Preston cleaning the kitchen. Child, one thing the guys will do in this house is clean. The girls, not so much. Now, this ain't no gender specific thing on chores. I'm just making an observation that the girls do not help out with the household cleaning like the guys do. Just saying. Child, then you see Bria trying to light a candle right under a flower, honey. She is bound and determined. Jasmine finds it, honey, and puts it out later, child. And Bria was saying that she has a lot going on, a lot to do, and no one's helped her with her events in the past, which they go and show everybody helping Bria when she was doing her event. You know, I was thinking that Bria gets a lot of hate in these social media streets. She does get a lot of backlash. You know, Bria comes across as bratty, sure, and spoiled, entitled. So do some of the others, but yeah, she probably has the most. Probably this episode, I mean, there's been many, so I'm not gonna say this is only one, but I saw like when Nick is trying to plan his event and he wants to have a house meeting, honey, she cannot be bothered. She's like, just let me know what you want to do so I can do it because I don't have time for your meeting. So he just asked her to clean the bathrooms. She agrees, honey. Shanice goes off and says, hey, I'm gonna help you. Then the child proceeds to complain the whole time that she is not about to clean these bathrooms. She don't care that his girlfriend is coming. You know, if they want it clean, they need to get it made. Now, Bria, you know you was wrong for that. First off, you agreed to do it. So he's counting on you to clean them bathrooms, sis. Second of all, is it really that serious? Honey, all y'all live there. So it's not like you're doing anybody a favor. You stay there. You and your dog, okay? You and Milo stay there. So you can clean, okay? It's not going to hurt you, okay? Just saying. So, you know, Nick picks up on her craziness and he's a little confused about her attitude, Bria's attitude. And he tells the group that, you know, he didn't get any support regarding the race. Now, Nick, if you'd have paid attention, honey, them children were up till like 6 a.m, okay? All their foolishness from Freaknik Party has spilled into the wee hours in the morning, and I don't think that anybody was really capable of getting up with you and going out there to that race. I feel you, bro, but you're going to have to cut your housemates a little slack there. And so Noelle even goes to confessional and basically says the same thing. She's like, Nick, did you see what happened last night? Anyway, he hands out his assignments on who's going to do what, and so we go on. And he talks about that his girlfriend Tasia is coming, and she's bringing her sister because, honey, last season when she came, Bria made sure to tell her that Nick kept her a secret till recently, so she was trying to see what was really going on. This time, I guess Tasia said what we're not going to do when I come in this house is we're not going to get ambushed. I'm going to have my backup too. So she's bringing her sister. Cool. So then we go to the scene where Amir is cleaning the kitchen. Child, like I said, them boys will clean. And then we go over to Shanice and Noelle. They're cheersing for a good night. They're going to have good vibes. It's going to be a good party. And then Nick's cousin Bree and one of his friends come by. And he introduces the house to them. Y'all, another thing. Again, is it me or did his cousin Bree and Natalie bear a striking resemblance to each other? To me, they did. They look like they could be sisters, honey. They looked a lot alike. Just an observance. There's no significance there, but they did look alike. So anyway, Bree and Summer are working. They're trying to get things together. They're getting the drinks and stuff together. And Bree makes the comment that she doesn't drink. And Summer decides, you know what, me either. Tonight, I'm not drinking anything. You know, she had such a bad night the night before. I agree. Mama's just not going to drink and she don't need to. So she's going to be sober. So Tasia comes in, his girlfriend, and she comes in and greets everyone. And then we go over to Jordan, confronting Summer about the click comment. And, you know, her saying that it's not always easy to be friends with Preston and Jordan. And she admits that one thing she needs to do is start off by, and this is Summer, by talking about her feelings. And Jordan actually gives her a pass, you know, about how she's feeling. They talk about it. And then Jordan does let her know that at some point you probably do need to pull Bria aside and talk to her when she's ready about all that went on that night. And so then Jordan talks to Bria, and she wants to know where Bria is with Summer. And she's basically saying, you know, I realize that, you know, she was drunk or whatever, but she said some things, like she threw at her the thing about, you know, that's why your boyfriend treats you the way he does. They go back to the scene, and really what she says is, in her drunken rage, that's why your man don't F with you like that. So, and she's like, you know, and this is after I confided in you guys about Simon. And then they go back to the scene where Bria's basically telling them that Simon is giving off vibes of jealousy. She doesn't know what's wrong. So kind of like, you know, she's throwing back in her face things that she had confided in the friend group with. So I get it. So at this point, she says, you know, she really doesn't want to talk to Summer right now, that maybe at a later date, but she doesn't want to talk because Summer does approach her, and she's like, nope, not now. So now we're getting ready. We're getting into the party. And honey, here it comes Mariah up to Amir again, talking about that daggone laundry. Y'all, did we or did we not cover about the dog stuff being in the laundry with her stuff, child? We talked about that last episode. Mariah let it go now. He done gave you an apology. He may not be 100% apologetic, but the man gave you an apology. Now, here you go again. And so he sits down. He's like, Lord, here we go. And she was like, listen, nobody in their right mind would put dog stuff in the laundry with other people's clothes. And he tries to tell her it was an accident. But he does apologize. And, you know, basically he's like, what more do you want? What more was she looking for? And he was like, because in his opinion, and okay, so I get the point, but we already talked about, look, he should have apologized, especially since that's what it was all about. And he was the one to put the stuff in there. Now, we've established that, but I think that Mariah is kind of using that a little too much for her storyline. Mama, let it go. You're on there. Let's just enjoy the party and try to make your way doing something else, child. Have some dialogue with somebody else. Leave Amir alone. That's all he's going to give you. We're done. Okay? Okay. So now Nick's event starts. And Amir tells Nick and Alex about Mariah wanting him to admit that it was his fault behind the dog stuff in the laundry, child. Pretty much Nick and Alex give him the sentiments that I'm giving. And maybe most of us are. We don't care. Okay? We're tired of hearing about it. We don't care. So Summer now tells Preston again about their heavy relationship, child, and how light Bria, Shanice, and Noel's relationship is, and that's how she was feeling, but that she acknowledges that maybe that was more of a her thing and not a their thing. And, you know, they agree, you know, and they're showing her some support. They are. And Jordan and Preston really talk about how they want to be there for Summer more. So like when she's having these heavy thoughts or whatever, or when she's feeling like they're not giving to her what she needs in a friend, that she needs to speak up. And I agree. You know, taking things and just keeping them bottled inside is a recipe for just exactly what happened on last episode. When you bottle things up, they're going to come out, and a lot of times not in the healthiest of ways. And so we go over to Amir asking Natalie what's wrong, child. Because the party is going on, honey. The party is partying. Everybody's enjoying themselves. Natalie looks upset. So Amir keeps saying, what's the matter? And child, do you know what she said? She said that he was like, is that Jordan? Okay. And he was like she was like, when you said it like it was a big deal. Girl. He was like, no. It was a genuine question. There was another young lady there that had a very similar look to Jordan. Jordan had on a new wig. He was like, Jordan's got like 6 wigs. So, you know, her look is changing. Natalie, relax. Relax, sis. That was crazy. So then Nick calls for everybody that's black or black adjacent to come on outside so he can, talk about the real reason for his event. And so everybody comes outside and he talks about running his 5K that morning and that he came in 5th place. And then he lets everybody know that his frat brother's number was number 5. And then there was something else that he said. He had done another race that he had finished in 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So he believes that 5 is his angel number. And he talks about his loss. His frat brother, whose last name is Bivens, and they call him Biv, had passed away. And that he reveals that Biv actually drowned. And y'all, the crazy thing about his drowning was that this man was a seasoned swimmer. And it was just one of those freak things. And at this point, he shares his story. And then they all cheers. And they cheers to being black. Cheers to being black. Touching story. And so back inside the house, they start playing music. Jordan's on the 1s and 2s, really on her laptop DJing, and the frat starts the stroll. And so this is what I was talking about. Nick gives a little background on the history of the Divine Nine, which is the 9 sorority. That's the 9 that includes the black sororities and fraternities, the black Greeks. And I'm going to tell you what those 9 are in just a second. But part of being in a black sorority and fraternity, they step and they also do what's called a stroll. And a lot of times that stroll is during parties. It's, I won't call it a line dance, but it's a particular, maybe it's a particular dance that they do while they're literally strolling through in a line in a party. And it's great. It is. And listen, again, those of you that's gone to HBCUs, you know what they're talking about. Those of you that didn't, you may not. So I love how they took some time and they explained it. Some of the ladies and gentlemen there are in black fraternities and sororities. Noelle's an AKA. Nick and Alex are Kappas. Preston is an Alpha. Ciao, Amir. He is Kappa Alpha Psi, intrigued, but he is not a member. One thing about it, honey, when they're stepping, strolling, when they're doing their call or throwing up their signs, you don't do it if you're not a part of it. That is Black Greeks 101. Don't do it. It's a sign of massive disrespect. And when the boys were doing the stroll, you see Amir kind of getting his shoulders ready. Amir, don't you do it to yourself. It was cute, but no, sir. Don't do it. So the Divine Nine, in order of being established, are the following. Alpha Kappa Alpha, which is the sorority. Delta Sigma Theta, which is the sorority. Zeta Phi Beta, which is the sorority. Sigma Gamma Rho, sorority. Alpha Phi Alpha, fraternity. Omega Psi Phi, fraternity. Kappa Alpha Psi, fraternity. Phi Beta Sigma, fraternity. And Iota Phi Theta, fraternity. So, that's the Divine Nine. That is what they speak of. And so, they're having a good time. Everything is going great. You see Phil walking around, honey. He's there. We already saw Mariah still talking about the dog stuff in the laundry, but Phil's around. And then you see Summer pretty much go upstairs. She's drained. She's had deep conversations. She's now talked to Noelle. She's talked to Jordan, and she's talked to Preston, and she's drained. So she ain't had no drinks. For her to give that much emotion, she just don't have any more left. So she takes herself on the bed. She probably should. Then, honey, here comes Simon with his flamingo, his little blow-up flamingo costume, child. And Bria gets incensed. She is angry because she feels like He's going to make it hard for her. This party is really in honor of Nick's deceased frat brother. And she feels like it's disrespectful to Simon, for Simon to come out with the blown up flamingo. Child, I don't know at this point if it was that serious, because now it would have been different had he came out there with them annex when he was talking about his fraternity brother, when he was explaining the story or telling the significance of the number 5. Yes, then yes, I would agree. But at this point, when everybody's dancing and, girl, it wasn't even that serious. But she's mad, and, you know, Simon, he goes upstairs. Oh, I'm sorry. So I already told y'all, he came on back downstairs with the flamingo. I think, he might have felt like he wasn't getting his own shine and attention. Who knows why Simon does what he does, child? Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's not. But, Bria should know who she's in a relationship with. To get that angry, it was a little much. Now, Nick does agree, though. There's a time and place for everything. And even he did state that he didn't think that maybe it was the best time for him to be coming out here and then blow up flamingo, child. I just think, again, that at this particular part of the party, when everybody was kind of doing their own thing, I don't think it was as bad. Again, had he have done it when he was having a serious talk, I would have agreed. That's just me. Again, tell me what you think. Was Simon crazy? Was it disrespectful? If it was, if you think so, let's put it in the comments. Let's chat about it. So Bria's like, go upstairs right now, take it off. She's doing the most, and she's threatening to break up with them. They go upstairs, and she's like, I'm going to get a knife, I'm going to stab it, all this stuff. And child, pretty much it's the end of the scene when she basically tells Simon at this point, because she closes the door behind her when they're in the room and he's getting ready to take the flamingo thing off. And she's basically like, look, I'm just going to break up with you. He's like, you're going to break up with me because I put on a flamingo costume. He's kind of like making light or making fun of Bria's over dramaticness. But she basically tells him, honey, pack his stuff up. She's done. Honey, we'll see if that's true on the next episode. But overall, I think this was a good episode. I think that it was good to see Summer do some self-reflection and to understand where she went wrong. It was sad to see the conversation between her and Noelle, but I applaud Noelle for being true to herself and validating how she felt. I don't think that she was wrong. I don't. And I think that if she's wrong, then the ball is in Summer's court to show her she's wrong. And from the conversation they had, y'all, she didn't do that. She didn't. So we're going to see how it all pans out. So guys, thank you for tuning in again. Again, guys, I do want to hear your feedback. I really like that engagement. So please let me know what you thought about, Summer House Martha's Vineyard or the Real Housewives of New Jersey, or both. Tell me what you thought about last night's episodes, what your thoughts were, how you felt, on this one. Was Simon that wrong? What did you think about Noelle and Summer's conversation? Do you think Noelle was right in what she felt? And let's talk about it, guys. So I'm going to just tell you guys, hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I will be back on Wednesday. I am still trying to decide on what our midweek show will be. I am going to put it in the tab once I decide, y'all. We're still trying to restructure what our weeks are going to look like since Married at First Sight has wrapped up. And so it's not that we're not trying to be consistent. We're trying to figure out what's next for our lineup. But we will definitely be back with some more content midweek. Join us again on Saturday for another pop culture segment. And guys, I just want to thank you so much for all of your support. Please keep tuning in. We're going to keep giving you that good content. You guys have a great evening. I'll see you later. Bye.